guys! Okay, so today in my video I wanted to update you guys on the haunted home situation and how our investigation played out. So, quick comment, my neighbor is working on their home, so I'm sorry if you guys hear any kind of banging. They are doing some type of construction. But anyway, today I wanted to update you all on my haunted home. So I know in my last video I explained to you guys that the weird activity in my house has continued. My mother heard her name get said again in my room. My sister has had an experience the same night where things were seemingly getting knocked over in her room. So because of the activity continuing, I wanted to really get to the bottom of it. So even though I do have an EVP recorder, a night vision camera, and some equipment, I decided to try out an app. Now, I am not, doing this in a sponsoring way. I am not sponsoring this or endorsing this in any way. I just came across this app and it had extremely good reviews, so I wanted to give it a try. Now, I have tried apps in the past that I feel were more on the scam side, but this app I genuinely think works. It's called Ghost Tools, and it is essentially an EMF reader and a word generator of sorts. So it can measure electromagnetic fields, which it's not so crazy to believe that this app works, seeing to how it's just a device on my phone, much like any other device. And the reviews were amazing, and I personally had my own experience with it that I think really proves that it can work. So, during our investigation, I feel as though we communicated with a few spirits. And to be honest, I didn't think overall it was that good of a spirit, one of which that we were communicating with, so it worries me what exactly is in our home. So, during our investigation, I made it clear that if anything bad is in our home, it is not welcomed here and it has to get out, and that this is a home of light and love and happiness, and, it's not welcomed here if it's not good. So, getting into the investigation, of course in the beginning I asked, who is here, what's your name, and the name Barry came through, and the name Joseph came through. So we were like, okay, and we were asking a few questions, and random responses would come through. It didn't directly answer every single question and statement that we gave. I don't think the app is made to just give whatever answer to whatever you say. That's another reason I do believe it, because there were plenty of questions I would ask and it would give a response that wasn't exactly what I had asked. Like, it would give a random word, which still could be a message it's trying to get through. So when I first downloaded the app, in my room nothing happened. I downloaded the app and I gave it a try, and the electromagnetic fields were not reading very high. No words were coming through. So my mother and I sit down to begin the investigation in the dining room. The app is going crazy. The electromagnetic fields are going very high. Words are coming through. And it was very unsettling for me, just because at first the responses were very exciting. It was giving names and just some general words. The electromagnetic fields were high, but then it got a little personal. So my grandmother passed away when I was a kid. She had a heart attack, and when she had her heart attack, she fell over and she busted her nose into the ground, resulting in a small blood stain on the carpet of her home. I distinctly remember having saw the small stain after the fact. I distinctly remember that unfortunate memory, and it's kind of stuck with me. It was heartbreaking. But during the investigation, I decided, to ask, you know, Grandma, are you here? My mom thought maybe it was her that had been trying to reach out to her recently. Maybe it was a positive thing. Maybe it was her that has been with us. And so I said, Grandma, are you here? And the words carpet stain came through, which I will show on the video. So with those words coming through, it didn't quite sit right with me. After we ended that small session there, you know, I brought that memory up to my mom and she said, oh wow, so maybe she is with us. And I told her that response didn't sit right with me. I feel like if she was the one with us and if she came through, she would have given a more positive response or said grandmother or grandma or family or even heart attack or something, more her giving across a message. I feel like the words carpet stain brought up a dark memory, and it didn't sit right with me, and I didn't much care for that response. So anyway, we go into my room to try the device again, and in my room, again, nothing happens, which is another reason I really believe this app, because you would think if it was just supposed to randomly generate words wherever, it would work in my room, which it did not, which is interesting because I've had several experiences in here. But I feel that night whatever was with us was staying in the dining area, because my room, yet again, the electromagnetic fields were normal, and you know, no voices, no word generating words were coming through. So we go in the living room and a couple things go through, but it wasn't really, you know, not much better, not much activity. We go back in the dining room and it starts going off the charts again. The electromagnetic fields are going high, the words are coming through. Like we were really talking to someone who was genuinely a good person or a spirit that was just needing help. You know, those words coming through that made us think it was a soldier, like soldier, dune, sand, weapon, muddy. The word ravine came through. And my mother told me like a day later that she had an uncle who was in a war who was down in a ravine, and he was with another soldier whose head was blown off, and he had to hide and stay in the ravine because there were enemies nearby, and he was down in this ravine for a long time. He ended up getting rescued, but he was very thirsty, hungry, had been through it, and this spirit was saying all of these words. It even said thirst, and it said hungry, I believe. It said all of these words that made us really think we were talking to a soldier. So maybe it was her uncle, I don't know, or another soldier who'd been through a similar situation. But then, you know, we're thinking we're talking to this spirit who may be good, and then it clicks in my mind, I think we're talking to multiple things, because we're talking with this spirit who's talking about, you know, maybe their life, soldier, and all of those words. We ask, how did you pass away? And I asked a few questions, and then nothing had been responding. Sometimes I think it takes spirit's energy to build up before they can answer a question. So even though it was a few questions later, I think it answered my first question, you know, in a small list of questions when I asked, how did you pass away? A few questions later, it said the word cancer. So it's interesting to me to think that maybe whatever we were talking to, you know, was trying to answer our questions and get other messages across at the same time. So we think we were talking to multiple spirits because that, and because on one hand, I feel like it was something normal, a normal spirit, this possible soldier, and then I think we were talking to something a little darker, just because the words carpet stain didn't sit right with me. And then I remember asking a couple questions. I remember asking, what is your religion? I remember asking, are you good? And a few other questions. And then all of a sudden a word pops up that says against. So either it's against religion, which if it was, you know, just didn't really believe in a religion and it's not bad, okay, maybe that was their beliefs in life, whatever. But the fact that I asked, are you good? And it said against, I don't know. Again, something just wasn't sitting right with me. And also, you know, those words were coming through, and then the electromagnetic fields throughout the whole session in the dining room continuously began getting high, turning red. The electromagnetic fields were very strong, and at one point it told us, get out. My mom said, well, that's not going to happen. And again, I made another statement that if you are bad, you are not welcomed here and you have to leave. This is our home. You need to leave. So I kept my ground, and I just felt as if there was more than one person, entity that we were communicating with. Just because of that, getting negative responses, getting neutral responses, I just felt like we were communicating with more than one spirit. And the negative responses we were getting and the responses that just didn't sit right with me were very chilling to me. I remember at one point also asking, where are you from? And the response came through, it said planet. So because the word planet came through, I thought maybe that was the spirit's way of telling me it was once living. That the person themselves was once a living person. Now, if they were never living, then I feel like we were talking with something more sinister. So another reason I feel like maybe we were talking to more than one spirit, because we were getting regular responses that to me stood for one's life and who they were in life, and then we were getting some darker responses. So just the fact that we were getting all these responses and it was so crazy, the energy was just so heavy, I feel like we genuinely made contact. But I will let you guys know, the carpet stain response, to me, it's just still very unsettling. I don't know what we made contact with. I'm not sure how to go about it from here. I don't know if saging my home will work. I don't know if I should even consider that. My sister has a bird. I don't think can really breathe that kind of thing in. I don't know if you guys can hear him chirping right now. But, you know, I don't know that it's escalated that far yet to where we would need to do anything. I don't know if it's just spirits passing through. I just don't really know what to do. So if you guys have came across my channel, feel free, hit that subscribe button and keep watching my videos. I have more Spirit Story Saturdays on the way, more paranormal investigations, and updates on my possibly haunted home. So if you're new to my channel, again, hit the subscribe button and just keep watching.